I'm Thomas Mongan.
I am Peter Lane, and welcome to episode 2 of The Care Experience.
Now, we don't show our faces yet because the carers catch us. We're done.
Thomas is on the run now for the last while. He's absconded from the care system, and he's in here doing podcasts with me. Whereas the guards are looking for him now, and they're trying to drag him back to wherever he wants.
They're in Roscommon now looking for me.
Yeah, I know they're not. Thomas is studying sound engineering down in Ballyfermot, and I am an advocacy officer here in Epic, empowering people in care. You can contact us via our website, epiconline.ie, for all of your advocacy needs if you were in care or if you had care experience.
Or if you're feeling young enough, you can contact us on Instagram, and if you have any questions you'll want us to answer on the podcast.
So this is episode 2 of the podcast. Last week we interviewed Kathleen Chambers, who's over in NCAD, and she's studying graphic design. This week we're going to be we've 2 interviews. One is with Cammy Bonger, who is a care-leaver from the Netherlands, who set up a theatre company over there, who works with other younger people who talk about their trauma and the experiences that they've had via the medium of drama. Expression of drama, yeah.
You see what I did there? That was my expressing the expression.
And you expressed that expression very well, and it was very nicely done.
Thank you.
We also have another interviewee. I'm going to let Thomas talk about
her. So we're also interviewing Suzanne the God.
Suzanne O Brien.
Suzanne the Great.
Suzanne the Great.
Suzanne. So last year I met Suzanne, and she was merely in the background, but then she has taken over. She's taken over the Epic office. Suzanne O Brien, she's an amazing woman. She's an advocacy worker as well. She does brilliant jobs. On the Epic Council, she helps out. She does most of the work, to be fair. When I did the Dublin, Children of Dublin, is that what it's called?
The Humans of Dublin.
The Humans of Dublin. Suzanne helped me a lot with that. She was there. She's been there for like a lot of things, and she's been wonderful to me and everyone else that she's worked with. She's a really amazing person, so we're happy that she's on a podcast so we can talk to her and get her perspective on things that we're going to be discussing.
Exactly. One of the things we're going to be discussing with her is the Epic Council. The Epic Council is
Epic.
It is Epic, yes. It's in existence for about 6 years now. When I started working for Epic, I saw the need for a council of young people that needed to be telling us what we should be doing as an organisation. So I was lucky enough to start that up soon after I started here, and it's still, for me, I love linking in with it. I don't get to do as much work as I'd like to do with them, but it's still the most energising bit of work that I do when I get to go down and work with them. They're after having a residential down in Cork there, and they came up with a strategic plan for the next 3 years that we're all very excited about. Of course, Thomas wasn't there.
I was not there.
Yeah.
Well, I was there, but like they didn't know. Like I was like hiding in the events and stuff.
Okay, I didn't realise that.
This residential, the last residential was really special as well, because a member of our council, Alan, he got to actually go because he's in a wheelchair, so he wouldn't usually be able to go because like it's so hard to find places where like it's accessible for people in wheelchairs. So it was amazing that he got to go this time.
Yeah, it was a real eye opener for us. I know Susan Carey, she was doing an awful lot of work trying to find a hotel that would be able to accommodate Alan and his needs, and he's a lovely man. He's great crack, but even to get the hoist involved, and then even to get beds that have a way of fitting the hoist underneath, and it was a nightmare trying to get a place for him, and it was just opening our eyes at how inaccessible an awful lot of places are with people with disabilities. and it's another thing that needs to be changed, and we're glad to be able to talk about that as well. I suppose the main thing, if you weren't listening last week, the main thing in this podcast is giving a platform to people with care experience to talk about what their care experience was, and to offer up any ways that we might be able to improve it for the next generation of young people.
Yeah, it's essentially a line of communication for everyone, not just people with care experience, just for anyone in general. Because if we're just focusing on one group, like, we'll only talk amongst each other, it'll never get big. Like, so we want to inform people who don't have care experience, and we also want to inform people with care experience to their rights and like a different perspective that they may not usually see, because they're not surrounded with many positive people in life in general with care experience or no care experience. So that's really the aim of the podcast. It's just to open the dialogue for conversation amongst everyone.
Exactly. Like, if you think about it, there's 6,000 children in care, so they all have their families. They all might have foster families, or else they've the social care workers working in the residential places. They've all their family as well. They've all the foster carers, all their family. There's all the social workers that are involved as well, and between the whole lot of us, we need to mobilise a bit more so we get a better deal for the kids who are in care at the moment. Like, this isn't about TUSLA bashing. TUSLA is the Child and Family Agency, so for people who are listening overseas, they're the agency that are in charge of basically, the children who are in care and the process in which they get taken into the care system. It's about working with them. It's about collaborating as effectively as possible, and like, we're not sitting here clapping each other on the backs. We know there's a whole lot of huge amount of work to be done in order to make the care system better, but it's about giving a platform there that people can ring in, people can email us, and they can discuss the care system in a way which often isn't the case in the media. Oftentimes there's an awful lot of negative stereotypes about children in care, and we're looking at kind of blowing up on some of them as well, if we can at all.
Yeah, so as I was saying about Instagram, like, we have an Instagram page, so if you want to just DM us questions or like your opinion on the podcast and all that, we can discuss it while we're on the podcast. And if someone has enough questions and they're really intrigued about it, we could even interview them to see their opinion, their perspective and what they want to know. I think it would be a very interesting thing to do, and it'd be good to involve whoever's listening in the podcast, because it's shared experience with us all.
Absolutely. We're looking at going international as well. We're looking at seeing what is best practice in different countries and seeing what we could come back with over here. And we're looking at just kind of giving a platform for the more creative stuff. If you have care experience and you've written poetry, or if you have a couple of songs, or you want us to give a shout out to some of your art or films that you're doing, please give us a shout, and we'll be able to give a shout out to it and direct people to it. On that note, we were just reading a blog from one of the Epic Council, Danielle, and it was brilliant.
It was amazing. It was eye-opening, and like, it was factual, it was to the point, it made complete sense. So essentially, Danielle wrote a blog because she saw something on Facebook saying, I'm paraphrasing now, so don't hold me to it, but essentially it was saying, if you leave your house with your parents or whoever for no other reason than just wanting to leave your house, like, that's the only reason, there's no problems, you just want to leave, and you put yourself on a council house list,
The homeless list.
Sorry, if you put yourself on the homeless list, then you are part of the problem. You're creating a problem, because there's families out there who are, like, there's children being born into homelessness now. So there's families out there that really need it, and you're going to put your name on that list just because you don't want to go home and stay at home. So like, it just kind of, it's crazy when you think about it, that people are doing that.
Where would you find that podcast or about that blog?
You can find it. We'll post a link to it on Instagram or YouTube or something. Actually,
Exactly.
under this,
when we release this podcast,
when this is released, underneath this, whatever this is, on whatever platform, there will be a link to what we're talking about, so you can have a read of it.
Yeah.
So Danielle just basically describes herself and her own journey and her journey of being homeless a few times throughout her life, and how she was actually homeless and she really needed it, and how hard it is, and the reality of the situation. So she was just saying, she's just giving her perspective on the situation with her knowledge, and she's just giving her opinion really. So I think it was very interesting. So if you'd want to read it, it's below.
Yeah, and like that's what this is about, giving voice to the experience of people who've been in the care system. We went through this last week. Statistically, you're much more likely to not do well if you're being through the care system. But having said that, it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it doesn't have to be. You can actually, really do as well as you can. We've people on the Epic Council who are doing masters, they're doing PhDs. We know people who are...
Roisin Farrell has gone over to Israel.
Yeah.
To talk about, her theory?
Yeah.
Like her thesis there.
Yeah.
Which in Israel, she was invited over to Israel.
Yeah.
To talk about her theory.
We'll actually have Roisin Farrell on as well. Like,
do you know how mentalise?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
She's done... Like, I always... Like, it's one of Connor's quotes, Connor Ryan's quote, about that's been often re-quoted, and it was about you say you have two young people, two children, and they're both in a hurdle race. Connor made a point there that they're both running the same direction, they're both running the same distance, but the person who's been in the care system has a lot more hurdles, and they're bigger hurdles, they're harder to get over at the end of it. But at the end of the race,
really good. That's ours now.
Oh yeah.
Peter Lynn, Thomas Mulligan said that quote.
Yeah, we're plagiarising Connor's quote to debate the band, like lots of other people have as well. But his whole point was, at the end of the race, who's going to be better at getting over hurdles? And his point is the person who has had to get over the most hurdles, which is the person who has been in the care system, who has care experience.
I think the essence of what he's saying is the person who always tries and is not afraid of falling, or the person who's not afraid of failure, he will get back up and do it again. That's the person who's going to succeed, regardless of being in the care system. I think the essence of it is, like, we might like fail a bit more because like we be hit with a bit more in most cases. So like it's just like about staying consistent, getting back up if you fail, because failure is just a minor setback.
Exactly. Crisis and opportunity.
It is. Yeah. I actually think you might not get what you wanted, but you'll get where you need to go. Like,
what's for you won't pass you.
That's the gospel truth.
Right, so we're going to talk to Suzanne O Brien now, who's participation officer in Epic, and also I suppose a hero of mine and the total force of nature.
Pure, beautiful woman. Well, wait, we can't say that.
Oh no, you can.
It's 2019.
It's nearly 2020. It's all back in the day.
It's gone back to the start of the decade.
I know. If you can't comment on beauty, then all is lost. We weren't being creepy or anything, were we?
No. Peter does be asking, like, he does be looking in the mirror. He does be crying, and he's like, "Aren't I beautiful?" And we got to look at him and like, Peter, no.
What about on the inside? No, not even on
you're just a horrible person, Peter.
Yeah, it's horrible on the inside, horrible on the outside. But anyway, I learned to live with myself. You're all gonna have to live with it as well. So, right, we'll
be right back.
We shall get Suzanne. We are joined right now by Suzanne O Brien. She is participation officer with Epic Empowering People in Care. Hello, Suzanne.
Hiya, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Suzanne, tell us a little bit about your job.
So I suppose my job is to work with groups of young people that have care experience. So I suppose when I first started with Epic, I worked with groups that were under 18, and those groups were called fora. So the purpose of the fora was to find out from young people what was good about care, not so good, so that then we could change policy and practice and improve the outcomes of children living in care. I'm now working with the Epic Youth Council, which are a group of 18 to 26-year-olds. And very similar to the fora, we're trying to find out from the council what helped or hindered them in their experience, so that as a group, as a family really, we can challenge some of the policies in place and some of the practices to improve the outcomes of care leavers as well.
I love that you just said family there, because I get that vibe up there when I go up to the Epic Council meetings, and I'm sure you get it as well, Thomas.
Yes, I get it a lot actually. Sometimes.
All right. Oh.
No, it is like a little
Just like a family song.
Just like
it's
a
just
family,
like a
exactly.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing environment to be in, especially because people have not the exact same experience, but like similar, and it's interesting to see people's perspective and how they kind of think like you, but like how they don't think like you, and they can challenge your opinion. So it's very interesting. Everyone just cares for each other.
Exactly.
For the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. I don't want to lie to the people.
No, absolutely. And that's it. Like, you know, the care population, they're not a homogenous group. Like, you know, there's 6,000 children in care. That's 6,000 totally different stories. Mm-hmm. And people need to respect that, I think.
I've been trying to get a little village going, but I can't get permits.
Planning permission.
Yeah, I can't get nothing. It's too expensive.
Yeah, it's proper order. I wouldn't give you planning permission for a village.
Imagine you went to someone and asked them, yeah, I'm just trying to create a village.
Who would you go to?
Just the Mayor of Ireland.
The Mayor of Ireland. You asked me earlier on, he was asking me how we get involved in politics. He wants to get involved in politics. And like there's going to be a general election coming up in the next couple of months. What was that noise? I think that was somebody's tummy rumbling. Was it?
That was someone was passing.
That was somebody passing. Oh, we see if that turns open now. I hope it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things, anyway, you chime in here if you want. A lot of young people I speak to say, oh yeah, we want to change the system, I say, oh yeah, who'd you vote for? I don't vote. Oh, I don't. You're one of them. So the first thing you do is make sure you're registered for voting, and I would say that to every single young person listening today. Make sure you're registered to vote, and anytime there's a politician coming to your door, hammer them about the care system and ask them what they're doing about it, and ask them what they're doing about aftercare, ask them what they're doing about housing for young people who are in care. And an awful lot of the time you'll see a politician staring at you, scratching their head going, I don't know. And because they don't, you know, an awful lot of them, it doesn't enter into their head. And that's one of the reasons why this podcast is important, that it is, as I said, education is very important for young people in the care system, but it's twice as important for people out there listening, for the general public to know about it. What do you think?
I think that's actually the beauty really of the Youth Council. One of the things that they have identified is just the lack of awareness of care related issues.
Yeah.
And it is those people that are decision makers that don't know we exist. Yeah. And we really need them to know, I suppose, how being in care has affected us, how leaving care will affect us, that we don't have what other children have. We don't have the same families to go back to. So our government, our departments, every organisation needs to start championing care leavers and the rights of care leavers to a stable, secure future, one that isn't hindered by policies that are outdated, that don't actually meet the needs of our care leavers or our children in care. And I suppose the council themselves have said, growing up, they hid their care experience. They didn't want to tell people because there is a stigma around being a care leaver or being a child in care. And one of the things that the council wants to take on is to start challenging that stigma, so that the general public knows that care leavers have just as much potential as any other person their own age. They just need to be supported to reach that potential.
Absolutely. One of the things that I've really enjoyed working with the lads on is Care Day. Care Day is coming up on February the 21st. We have a number of different events coming up to it and a little bit afterwards. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we've done in the last few years? Because me and Suzanne work really hard on this, And
Suzanne works really hard on this.
Thanks, Thomas.
I'm getting hammered
Thanks,
today.
Thomas.
I'm getting hammered.
It's 2020 nearly, so you can't be taking credit from anyone.
Okay, but tell us a bit about what's been going on the last few years.
Yeah, so I suppose the last few years in Ireland, and I suppose as part of the Five Nations One Voice Alliance, there has been organisations throughout Europe, I suppose, starting to challenge the media and the public on their perceptions of care leavers and children in care. A lot of the information that the public know about care leavers is often quite negative, and it is about saying to the public, really, we're not what you think we are. We're not all troublemakers. We're not all young people who have mental health or addiction issues. We are just as capable as anybody else. We have a lot of young people now going on to third level education, living their lives, having their own families, but people don't hear about them.
Yeah.
They only hear about the things that are going wrong. And there are things that are going wrong, but there are also a lot of things that are really positive, things that we need to start celebrating more. And I suppose we have been doing that in different ways. One of the best things we've done so far has been our flash mob. And I know you worked very hard on your other videos, Peter, but the flash mob got so many more hits.
I know, yeah. I spent hours and hours and hours doing the other videos, and the one that got like whatever 20,000 views was the shaky crappy video on Grafton Street with all the lads dancing.
So for anyone listening, if you'd like to take part in an epic flash mob for Care Day, please get in touch.
Should I explain what a flash mob is, just in case they get misconstrued?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
A flash mob is like just a surprise kind of like dance that's been choreographed. I can't. It's hard. But like it doesn't matter. It's been
Put together
by like people with care experience, and like there's a lot of talented people involved, and it's just a very fun thing to watch and to be a part of.
What I've loved over the last few years, and it's really noticeable this year, is the building of our care community. Where, like, in the beginning there was 5 organisations. Next year we could potentially be looking at 20 organisations all over the world, celebrating and supporting children in care and care leavers, and getting that message out there of positivity, celebrating them for their own successes, their own achievements. And I suppose our job really in Epic and as general people is to build up our young people, is to provide them with the necessary skills so that they feel valued and cherished just as any other member of society.
Absolutely. One of the things that struck me about linking in even New Zealand and Australia was a different continent, different culture, different system of legislation, but still the thing that they're talking about is the stigma, and they've all got the same issues. And it is great to be able to be in a situation to provide a platform that people can speak to each other about this and actually bring about change and challenge the decision makers and the legislators in their own countries. And hopefully now over the next while in the EU we'll be able to do that as well. We were lucky to be able to go to Bucharest. We were to meet Romanian care leavers, Croatian care leavers, obviously the Five Nations. It was great. I suppose Scotland was the first eye opener for me, seeing how mobilised the care community and how empowered they are over there. And it was obviously they'll do some things a bit different to us, but we were kind of not using it as a template, but kind of using it as a bit of inspiration of see what we can actually do with the care community over here, and it's very important work. What have we got planned for this year, Suzanne?
So we're doing a trip to the Dáil on the 4th of February. And after our tour of the Dáil, we'll also be having a seminar where we'll be inviting politicians to come in to speak with our care leavers about why it's important that they champion them, why it's important that they protect and provide appropriate supports for them, and also so that we can look towards getting Care Day recognised as
a UN
celebration. We'll also have our annual football blitz in partnership with Don Bosco. We'll hopefully have our flash mob, people. I'm really pushing the flash mob here. We'll have the launch of Care Day, which will take place in Grange Gorman, DIT, and that will be opened by Tusla's new CEO.
Who we're going to try and get involved in one of the podcasts for a while.
For Care Day, I think it would have been amazing. The idea behind Care Day is amazing. It's just about really community, this love coming together, just celebrating, and it's like celebrating each other, even if it's not big, like it's just celebrating, and just it's just a beautiful day, and like it's amazing leading up to it, and just working like just like showing off our work and seeing how positive it is, and the positive feedback, and just informing people. I think is just amazing, and I just think it's brilliant. Like when I went last year this year, sorry. Well, I guess it was last year. It was my first time going, but it was amazing because there was like younger people there, around like 12 and kind of younger, and then kind of like a bit older. So it was amazing seeing so many the age demographic like change, and like everyone coming together, and like just so like younger people can see the support that they get and they can receive from us, and like we can just celebrate each other. Like it's amazing. It's beautiful.
It is. I think it's always an amazing energy that we're able to harness and tap into, that people have been through the care system, that they want to make it better for the next generation, and it's a really pure energy, without sounding like too much of an old hippie, but it's a lovely thing to be able to do, and we're looking for as much support as we can. If we get it recognised as an official UN celebration day, I think that's going to be a big step, and it'll have a big impact, not just in Ireland but across the world, where they'll be able to have a day where society can interrogate itself about how they are treating the young people who are in care of the state, and what their options are, what their outcomes are, and how they view them, how they view these are children, like, and are people get to ask themselves, how do they view these kids, you know, and are they viewing them in a proper, correct manner? And I think it's important that society does that. And it's a way as well for, I suppose it's obviously for the kids as well, but it's also for the workers as well who work in it. Foster care is for everybody to kind of come around and actually start working together, collaborating, mobilising to make a bit of change within the society for it.
I mean, I think for every negative thing maybe that happens in a professional's daily life, always remember that one positive thing. Do you know, and if for Care Day the only thing that you do is sit back and take stock of all the positives, the positive work that you're doing, maybe where you want to go with the young people on your caseload, maybe this year, next year, setting goals so that you are actively supporting them, actively trying to boost their self-esteem, boost their self-confidence, get them out there talking about being in care, or just being comfortable with their own care experience. And that's really, I suppose, the job of professionals, because we will down the line as professionals have to depart from their lives. So as professionals working with them, it's our duty to give them every coping skill that we possibly can, but most importantly to give them the confidence to own their own care experience, to not be ashamed of it, and to support care leavers and other care leavers to also feel that they are accepted and loved just as any other person their own age.
I suppose it's an opportunity as well for care leavers to kind of get to know each other and support each other as well. Like, you know what I mean? That it's not... It can be a self-perpetuating thing that'll keep on going, then will they'll actually become together, become friends, and kind of support each other as well. You mentioned family earlier on, and I think that's, you know, which can be missing in some ways, in some aspects of it, from young people's lives as they're growing up. And it's an opportunity to kind of redevelop that and redevelop a sense of place within society, which can be missing. I know some young people kind of moving around from place to place and they never feel happy within their own skin because of the upbringing they've had, and it's kind of an intangible thing. It's, you know, no matter how far you run, you're always going to be in the same place.
I mean, especially like, say for me, I'm 30 now, and I went to live, so my mum and dad are my foster carers. If I didn't have that relationship with them, I would be completely on my own, because I don't have any other family. You know, when I first started working with Epic as a young person, I instantly fell into a family. Instantly fell into it, and I felt it and I knew it. And that is, Epic is creating that space for young people to find their family, to find people in their lives that they want to be in their lives because they're choosing for them to be there. We don't often get a lot of say over who is in our lives as children of care. And for adults with care experience, being on the council or working with an advocate can create so many incredible opportunities for you to find really good people who are in your corner, people who genuinely care about you and want the best for you. And I think that has really come on in the last few years because of Care Day, because of the platform that we're creating. We're telling people that it's okay to have experienced what you have experienced, to have overcome it, to still be struggling with it. Whatever it is about your experience at whatever stage you're in, we're here. And that's, I suppose, the message really. We want people to be proud of who they are.
Yeah.
Regardless of the obstacles that they have had to overcome within their own lives. Obstacles that sometimes they have no control over, and other obstacles, like I know all too well, we create ourselves.
Yeah.
But I suppose linking in with EPIC, with organisations like ourselves, being on the Youth Council, joining in the forums with TUSLA, is all ways of just really finding yourself, finding your place, and hopefully finding yourself, your family.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I find like you just need a few positive people to help you, help put you in a positive direction in life. Because like for me personally, before I came in, before I moved to Dublin, I had like a few positive people where like I was always around them, so I was more positive, and they're helping me while I was progressing in life. And then when I came to Dublin and I joined EPIC, it was like more people helping me as I follow my direction in life, but like in a positive way with support and like seeing how I'm going on, getting on and all that. And I think like Care Day is like you're meeting other people, and like you could just be talking to someone and you could be saying, oh, what you're doing is incredible and all that, and that could give them like that little push to try more and like make them feel happier and all that. And I think that's the important message behind the whole thing, is just like talking to other people and being there for each other, like, and like it is coming together, kind of like becoming a family and all that. It's just it's I know I already said it's amazing. It's just it makes the total difference in life having that bit of positivity there, like,
Yeah.
like it can change the whole direction of your life. So I think like Care Day is just should be celebrated. Like it should like be in a load of different countries.
Yeah.
Because like people will see like a different reality for themselves that they need to see, that they wouldn't usually see. So I think it's incredibly important. Like
It's amazing how it's growing just organically. Without us, to be honest, we don't have an awful lot of time to put into it. But any time we do, and it is something we both work very hard on. But to see countries like Finland and Zimbabwe and people like different countries like that where you'd never think of, they're getting in contact with us saying, how do we get involved with this? And we're very privileged to be able to work with that. Like it's exciting work. It's something I really enjoy. It's something It's something I look forward to. I love getting young people out on the media during the couple of days coming up to it. So we try to flood as much national media and local media as we can, whether it's advocacy officers or workers or young people, which is even better, talking about their experience and talking about it. Because like that, any time you put on the radio or open a newspaper and it's about people with care experience, it's more than likely a negative story.
What's going wrong?
Yeah, exactly. So it's great to have that day, and that impacts on people's mental health. They can internalise that. If the only time you're hearing about a person who is like you in the media and it's negative, that's impacting on you.
especially if people around you are saying the exact same thing.
Okay.
Like, if you're reading this in the media,
Yeah.
and then people like maybe you're not even that close with, but could be close with you, and they're saying these things to you,
Yeah.
then you might start to believe that if you don't encounter anyone that's actually positive and cares for you, like.
Yeah, and that's what Care Day is about, introducing people to other people who've been through that. And I love when the older care leavers like yourselves get the chance to talk to the kids who are in care, and you say, "Oh no, hang on a second, this doesn't have to be your outcome. This, you can choose your own destiny. You don't have to fit in with the stereotype that people are already trying to shoehorn you into.
Yeah.
You can actually, you have options there." I think we're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
No
we might
bother.
get you back on again.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks for that. Should we chat again soon? All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take another song now, and we're going to talk about that then afterwards.
up in the morning from a rough night's sleep, I think about how everything's not right for me.
I try to talk at home, I try to talk at school, but no one's really listening, it's time to overrule.
Calling me a drama queen, but they don't understand what it feels like not to have a mom or have a dad. Think before you speak, that's what I've been taught. Make them believe that I'm hard, not soft. No matter what they say, I'll do my own thing.
Regardless of what they're treading me.
Keep judging me for what I've been through.
Just remember, it's me, not you. Can't wait to get to my friend's house, listen to tunes, sitting down on the couch. Why do I have to be the only one in for 7 while everybody else is out past 11? Making people worried isn't on my agenda, but anything I ask for, it somehow offends ya. Some find it hard to understand my situation, tired of giving the same explanation.
No matter what they say, I'll do my own thing.
Regardless of what they're treading me.
Keep judging me for what I've been through.
Just remember, it's me, not you.
No matter what they say, I'll do my own thing.
Regardless of what they're treading me.
Keep judging me for what I've been through.
Just remember, it's me, not you. Don't make the past last too long.
And linger in your mind, move on, be strong.
Blood is the only true love that we have.
So don't hold grudges and stop looking back.
Don't make the past last too long.
And linger in your mind, move on, be strong.
Blood is the only true love that we have.
So don't hold grudges and stop looking back. No matter what they say, I'll do my own thing.
Regardless of what they're treading me.
Keep judging me for what I've been through.
Just remember, it's me, not you.
No matter what they say, I'll do my own thing.
Regardless of what they're treading me.
Keep judging me for what I've been through.
Just remember, it's me, not you.
That was done with our great friend Gary McCarthy, GMC Beats, down in Cork. That was done by the Cork Fora. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now. It's called No Matter What They Say, and another example of how brilliantly creative young children they were kids who were all under 18 who were in care. They came up with that one. Okay, how are you keeping, Thomas? What you do all week?
Jeez. Do you know when people ask you that and you realise you've done that all week?
You did not know all week, did you not?
Jesus. No.
Oh God.
Jesus.
Well, yesterday I cooked dinner for about 30 people upstairs here for the epic Christmas dinner.
Okay. No, actually, I remember what I did.
Okay.
On Saturday, I'll break it down for you. We had a Christmas dinner at Epic. Suzanne's mum and her 2 sisters came in and they cooked dinner for all of us. It was amazing. It was a great day. And for the rest of the week I was working and I was in college, just living a life.
Living your life. Pretty good.
Yeah. Jesus. Didn't do much. I didn't do much.
You didn't know.
I wouldn't lie to you now, Peter. But I didn't do much.
I was working away here doing my own advocacy stuff, which can be tough. It can be emotional, it can be hard work, but it's good work, I suppose, at the end of the day. Anyway, the next item.
Why would you lie on the podcast?
Why would I lie? What are you saying? It's not good work.
He was grinning when he was saying it,
Emotional or good work?
You're grinning oh, it's so emotional and hard,
It can be very hard. It can be very emotional.
I just think it'd be hilarious. Could you imagine someone who's on about being all emotional, and then you see a video of them and they're dead serious, talking, but because you're only hearing audio, you think they're being serious, but then you see that
and they're grinning. The
big
shit-eating grins on their faces. Yeah. Okay. No, I didn't even have a big grin on my face. I maybe we do need to get the cameras in. just to tell people when you're lying, when you're making up stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I could say anything.
You could say
I
anything.
took it from the opposite. There's an episode of The Office where the Dwight comes in, and like Jim starts making up stuff about Dwight, and everyone joins in, and he's like, "Don't listen to him," but like it's an audio recording, like so you can't prove it.
Okay, I suppose I can't. If that's the case, then I'm 30 years old and I'm really good looking. Yeah, okay, let's go. Okay,
Now
let's
that you
go
know he's 30 and good looking, we can move on with the podcast.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next item is a lady called Cammy Bonger. She is from the Netherlands. She's a care-leaver, and I saw some of the work that she does. She works with other care-leavers, and she does workshops with people who've been in care. They use drama as a means of talking about their care experience and the trauma that they've been through, and they work through that trauma using the means of drama. So this is going to be a good interview, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, listeners, it is our great pleasure to introduce Cammy Bonger all the way from the Netherlands. Whereabouts in the Netherlands are you from?
I'm living in Rotterdam.
Rotterdam, very nice. What's it like over there?
I love it here. Yeah, it's good. It's all different nationalities, all different people, and it's a good place for my creativity. Yeah.
Well, that's it. That all sounds very good. First of all, thanks a million for coming on to our podcast. This is the second podcast that we're recording. Myself and Thomas. Thomas came to me with the idea a while ago, and I always thought it'd be a really good platform to explore the voices of children and young people who've been in care, and that's why we're talking to you now. I met you, was it about 2 years ago in Croatia at a conference called for Eurochild in a place called Opatija, and I remember seeing you on the way in and going, now she looks like an interesting person. And then later on, when we saw you do your thing at the workshop, the young people we had were engaged far more with your guys, with the people that you had over as fellow care leavers. Like, they really got that, and like that really made the conference for them, that they were able to link in with you and they were able to have a shared experience with you.
Mm.
Will you tell me a little bit about what it is you do?
Yes, thank you. Well, I started with a theater group, theater in Rotterdam, when I was 17, and I was a runaway child. And I think now, all these years later, this was really my life saver, because I learned on a young age to write about my stories, to perform, to rap, to dance, and there was an audience who was listening to our stories. So I did that for 5 years or something, and then I had a whole career with theater. I always made my own shows about how do you find happiness and about life. And then I always found really important to also give workshop to the youngsters and really give them what I experienced that theater was for me. So to really write about put your mess in your message. That's always what I say. Like, really write about your mess and share it. And then I think 5 years ago, a youth organization asked me, can you please make a show with youngsters with a youth care past, like experienced experts and their caretakers. So can you please make a show with them? And then I made a pilot. Like, we work in 2 days. We make a show, and I perform at first. So with the experience I have, I can just be in an audience, and I hope I touch their hearts. And then I invite the youngsters and their caretakers. And that was such a beautiful process, because I think the workshops and the rehearsing was even more interesting than the show. Because you really sometimes I really did not see anymore who is the caretaker, who's the youngster. It was like one group,
Okay.
and I think
Sorry.
that just was then people were really touched the first show, and then we got a new gig and a new gig and a new gig, and the audience was always like crying a lot of tears, and I'm always like, yeah, really good that you're crying, because we're cleaning, you know. Why do you otherwise have tears? And this is how I try to do my work. And what you saw in Croatia was like the stories about the young people, and then I wrote a monologue about, I think, the unconscious things we all have, but where we sometimes not talk about.
Yeah.
And I think I'm now in a time in my life that I really healed a lot of wounds, and I also think you cannot really perform if you did not heal them. So I last years I went really deep to heal my part, and I did this because in the process with these young people, I really found out, like, when we've got the same story, like for example, I've got the same story as you, Peter, and we're in the process of rehearsing. Then maybe we got a big fight because we are each other's mirrors. So I thought, yes, I really have to heal this, and then I can perform again, and I can be the voice of all these youngsters.
Okay. One of the questions I was going to ask is, how do you mind yourself if you're putting your story out there all the time? How do you protect yourself? Because I know sometimes I'd be very careful about bringing young people out to speak to foster carers or whatever, if they're re-traumatizing themselves by talking about their story again and again.
Like my memory was, I can only really talk about it if it's healed.
Yeah, okay. And that makes sense.
And then with the youngsters, if they made a song about it, or a rap, or a poem, it's a different story. But when I'm really gonna ask them something, I'm really only ask them what helped for you. I'm not going like go back to the house where no. We're really, it's really like what helped and why, and what's good caretaking for you.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
usually the question.
And do you feel you need to be more honest with your artistic approach because you do workshops?
I think my artistic approach is honesty. Like I was actually a really bad actress, and then I thought I'm just gonna play myself. No, but I think like vulnerability is power.
Yeah.
And for me, that was my surviving mode, to be really, really honest.
Yeah.
And then always people said like, no, people are gonna take advantage of you and da 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 da. But that's not my belief system.
Okay.
I really believe the more honest I am, the more people gonna trust me. And with this, with the youngsters, it's like I asked like 1,000 young people, like, what was good caretaking for you and why? What helped? And then they always say, when you share something of yourself. Yeah, well, because I was already unsafe in my childhood, so I'm not gonna trust you anyway. I don't even know what safety is. So when you share something of yourself, I'm gonna trust you. And I think that's also why we made these beautiful shows, because they really think, oh yeah, you're one of us. Yeah. And I really say when I did something wrong. I really say when something went good. I also take them in my process and in my healing. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard for people to use your honesty against you if you own it. Like, so it's a good approach just to be honest. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whether doing it, especially through art, because people are going to relate more than something that's fabricated.
And I know from working with a lot of young people, they have a bullshit detector. If you're
Yeah,
not authentic with them, uh,
yeah,
they don't engage with you. And like I think it's one of the things. When I was working in residential, I was working more hands on. Two of the pieces of advice I had for professionals was, one, have fun, go in and have fun, and two, go in and be yourself and actually
yeah,
be authentic with the young people, or else they're not going to engage with you. They're going to smell that something's off. You're not being yourself. They do, a lot of young people that I know, they'll have a very well honed and well working bullshit detector, and if you don't have that honesty there while minding yourself,
yeah,
it's
totally. And it's also a gift because we know when something is true and when something is off,
yeah.
because that's what we learned, and we also know when we're safe. So
Mm.
yeah, and that's why and now my mission is to my company's name is Transformation Theater, and I see the transformation. Why? Because people feel safe.
Yeah,
Why? Because I share.
yeah,
And then there's a safe environment, and then there's room for all their emotions. What also for me a sign that they're safe if they're crying or laughing. It's because they're in a space that they've got room for this, and
and
then the change can then they're I just wrote a article about that when I'm on stage, the change in you is something really, like, for example, if I say now to you, okay, you have to change, Peter. You're like, yeah, change yourself, bitch. That's your first. But when I'm playing on stage, then the process for everybody is in a different stage. So sometimes people call me after 3 years, like, oh, now I'm understanding this, or
yeah,
like every person got their own process, their own. You never know where people think about in a month time, but on stage it's a different kind of empathy. It's a different kind of, oh, maybe I had to do this. Maybe I can change with my caretaking. Yeah, it's a
it
new and
it transcends. Once you turn it into a piece of art, it can transcend the commonplace, and
yeah,
people can engage with it in a different way than if you're just talking to somebody, or if you're just uh, presenting a dry, dusty journal piece or a piece of research. I think the use of art, the use of music, the use of theatre is really hugely important in healing.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's the same with music. When I get goosebumps, I know it's true from a heart space, and that's universal.
yeah,
And that's the same with this process, because the youngster said to me, okay, what really good help is you don't see me as a problem.
mm-hmm,
Like, I feel if you think I'm a problem, then that I cannot. Yeah, you're not helping me. Share something of yourself, and then the third point almost everybody said is real listening. So that's a big problem,
yeah,
because if I've got an audience and I have 300 people who can listen, there's only one finger, like. And I think we're in a society where people didn't really learn to listen, and for me, I know for myself that all the years that I was surviving and not living, but surviving of the traumas of my youth, there was a lot of violence in my youth myself. And then I think I had the stress syndrome, all those things. I could not listen.
mm,
So I really had to practice to listen. And what's true listening? True listening is not that, oh, I know what you mean, I've got the same. No. And true listening is also not like, oh, I've got a solution.
yeah.
But true listening is really be present and really hear stuff and be present with no judgment about the other person.
You're so
So
right.
this is what this is what I practice with audience.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just do it like 2 times really wrong. Like, I'm not listening at all, and then the audience like, okay, and then I'm like really trying to do good listening, and then I also say, like, we have to do this. We have to practice this with the whole society. It takes a village to raise a child,
Yeah.
and it takes a village to true listening, to true, yeah.
I think that's
And
really good advice for any professionals or foster carers working with young people. Oftentimes, and my own instinct would be to try and problem solve, or
yeah,
you know what I mean. But you're not going to be able to problem solve. You're not going to be able to solve the child's problem. But if you're there, if you're actually there and present and authentic, and just listening and really listening, I think that can
yeah.
make to a young person's life if they've been through care. Like,
And that's really practicing also. Like, I really practice this daily. That do I hear the voices around me, the noises? Can I still feel my feet? Can I still feel my body and not going in the other, and the impulse of trying to help or trying to please or trying to fix something is sometimes, a lot of times, it's not working.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Thomas was wondering about your process.
The create process when it comes to, like, from the start to the end, and just your process throughout it all. And do you apply the same process that you would to yourself to the workshops and the people you're teaching? Because, like, obviously people learn in different ways.
Yeah, well, it depends of the most process is like making a show, a presentation. So in this presentation we play for governments or caretakers or the youth. So my own process as an artist is a thin line. For myself, I write every day, and then all these lines also going in the show. So it's, and then every workshop, I think the process is how do you say this, like how I do it is the same, but the subject is different.
Okay. Yeah.
And you say you write every day. Do you just write for the shows, or do you write anything else apart from that?
Well, my book is The Artist's Way, and she's a woman, and she made just a book for artists, and she says that you have to write every day 3 pages to take good care of your artist. And it was like 50 years ago I got this book, and I thought, I'm not crazy, I'm an artist. so I just write 3 pages, and then I write everything what's happening in my life, and then the lines come. So I always think, like, you put all the bullshit on the paper, and then there's free space, amplify fields to write your lines. Yeah.
I know I was talking more of, like, I think personally as a writer, if you can write for like a song, you should be able to write like a screenplay or like a book, because it applies it's different formats and stuff, but it's the same thing as expression. So do you write different things besides stuff for the theater and stuff?
I write different things. I write plays. Do you know me? Is this what you mean? I write plays and a book, and all those different types of writing.
And do you just write about your care experience, or like your experience like that, or do you write about like different kind of things? Do you ever like take yourself away from care while writing stuff?
Well, my last piece is like in Dutch. In Dutch, it's different, but in English, she didn't know where to start, so she went back to her heart. So I think it's all connected, but it's all about how are we building a society where everybody matters, and where nature matters, and where we care.
Have you any pieces that you'd like to share with us now?
Yeah, I can share a little thing, but yeah, I think it's always connected with caretaking all the pieces. So
Okay.
this piece is translated, and it's about all the children who were not safe in their childhood. No one's children, no one's woman, no one's man, no one's land, no one's land, no one's children. Much trauma we've been through, yet never would we bother you. Don't want to be in your way or blame you of any pain. No one's children, no one. Not from our parents, no more. They weren't there, they were not present. Not of ourselves, we cannot love us, for no one taught us how to love. Running away from it is what we're good at. How can we recognize something we never had? No one's children are tough to break. Always try to make it work. That's what we're good at, playing that act. We can do that like no other. We suppress the mess we don't want to feel. So deep we hide our thoughts, our memories. No one asks what's underneath our masks. The undercurrent. The undercurrent. The undercurrent. Watch out, it will drown you. The undercurrent. Watch out, it will devour you. The vortex. Watch out, it will take you. The lava flow. Watch out, it will burn you. Also known as the floodgate. And it costs so much energy to keep the door shut. Without a foundation, there's nothing you can build upon. No energy. There's no energy. There's no energy. The undercurrent took it from me. And we thought it was the best thing to do. But shouldn't we integrate new lessons and build healthy relationships too? The undercurrent is underneath our lives. The way we live make that there's nothing left to give. Trying to survive, build a life, the undercurrent is always there. It's the current we don't want to talk about. It's in our limbs, safely saved in a place where we don't speak on it, where we don't speak about it, don't look at it, don't dare to look at it, where we don't speak about it. We often recognize each other like, hey, are you also somebody from no one's land? Recognize, acknowledge, recognize, acknowledge. And for a moment, we'll come in a land where there aren't any judgments, where we can share from where we've been through, without someone trying to fix you, trying to mend what was never truly broken, where we can just totally be, where our heart and pain is allowed to speak, as one whole, already complete. We are with many small lands without fundaments, many undiscovered talents. We are no one's children, from no one's land. But today we stand here. Today we're someone, not no one, someone, from the land of someone.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was really good.
That was amazing. That was really amazing. Listen, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
We hope to have
Pleasure.
you back on again
My
soon.
pleasure.
If there's other stuff that's going on over in Holland that you want us to know about, give us a shout and we'll put you on again. I think it's a really good opportunity to kind of create the kind of international care community, you know.
Yeah.
I think that sense of place that we're trying to create with this podcast and trying to create that young people who have care experience can listen into this and kind of feel like they're getting a little bit of a hug from, you know, other people with care experience. And I think
And that was so beautiful what your youngster said after the show in Croatian. Like one girl said, like, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
And now I see you, and I think this is the recognition, and this is what helps. Yeah.
I think so. That was lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Mind yourself. Bye bye.
Thanks. Ciao.
Ciao. Okay, big thanks to Cammy. What did you think of that?
That was brilliant. It was so eye-opening and kind of inspirational to see someone who built it from the bottom and is being so successful, and like even through through a few setbacks or whatever, they've like still succeeded by everything that was said against them. So it was amazing. It was inspirational. I'd love to hear more about it in the future and see the development, hear about the development of what she gets up to.
It'd be great to get them over here at some stage. Very interesting person and a lovely person as well.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for today's podcast. We're going to be back next week. We're going to do another one, and we're going to be releasing them all in early January. So just for those of you who are listening, this is the 12th of December. Just so you know what's going on in the real world.
But then again, time is relative.
It certainly is.
Just people say stupid things and they sound like they think they're mad deep, like.
But that's not you. You're just are mad deep.
Mad deep, like I'm woke.
You're very woke.
Too woke. I need some sleep. And we're going to end the podcast on that.
That's it. We ended on that. Okay, listen. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Okay.
Again, if you want to ask any questions, just DM us, email us, and get in contact. We'd love to hear from all of you.
Yeah, exactly. If you've any poetry, songs, art, anything like that, we would love to give that a platform. And thanks for listening. And listen, mind yourselves out there, okay?
Be careful now, because it's getting windy.
It is. Good luck.
Like and subscribe to the Karen podcast.